And so, what I'm talking about here, it's not egocentricity, and it's not arrogance, and it's not superiority, see, but it is freedom. And freedom can be a kind of almost addictive sort of deal. It's pretty cool. Okay, if we have carefully followed what? And whose? Yeah, the directions we got out of the book, not somebody else's. So if we have carefully followed directions, remember that? The word they used on page 83 in front of the promises was painstaking about this phase of our development. So carefully followed directions. If we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit where? Into us. So over on page 84 in the middle there, the flat statement was made that we have entered the world of the Spirit. And here it says, saying it again, see that we've begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. Okay, we have begun to develop this vital what? Sixth sense. Vital meaning, once again, essential, necessary, life or death. See, like your heart. Pretty vital organ. See, so this is a vital sixth sense. So, but we must go further, and that means more action. So you may have some experience going since your fifth step, and as you move on through, the intuitive thing that starts to occur simply as a result of cleaning house and seeking God. And these new kind of experiences begin to happen, and suddenly you're in the right place at the right time, and you're saying the right thing on the phone, and all the various things that start to go on. See, but that's just a beginning. See, it's sort of like what? What would a scissor go? Yeah, it's like being a baby.
I was going to say baby steps.
Yeah. See, at this point, it's still baby steps. That's a good analogy. Bill Wilson called all this, I don't know if we talked about this, spiritual kindergarten. Everything we're doing. See, we're struggling through this, and God, I got to get it. God, look at what's happening, and wow, and all the various stuff. See, and from his perspective, a few years later, he saw that it was spiritual kindergarten that we're all going through. See, and yet here we are, doing everything we got to do. See, simply to pass the course. See, which is kind of amazing. See, but it's also, really pretty neat to know that. See, that the promise that is behind what we are laying the foundation for here, see, is bigger than you can conceive, see, in your mind or your imagination. See, and you might remember the hint of that. Well, not remember, you might want to refer back to it sometime. So go back in chapter 4 to, let's see, what the hell page is that on? Page 47. About two-thirds of the way down in the first paragraph, you say, a sentence that starts off afterward. Top paragraph, about two-thirds of the way down. Afterward, we found ourselves doing what?
Accepting
many things, which then seem entirely out of reach. And that really is a hint or kind of a promise about, an immense kind of spiritual growth that is available to anybody, who literally will walk this path, and live this way of life. But, once again, it doesn't mean perfection and heal the sick, raise the dead, or walk on water, and that kind of stuff. See, but it's just stuff. If you've had your mind blown a little bit by what you got so far, there are those kind of things in the future. So there's both sides of the coin. There's taking your inventory and facing whatever you got to face, making whatever amends you got to make and cleaning all that up. See, but there's the flip side of it, which is, keep on trucking. It's pretty cool. Okay, so last step back on page 85. See, we must go further, and that means more what? Action. See, so how much action are you into now? See, there's something to just keep taking your inventory on. How much action is there? See, and if you noticed, no action, no results. See, a correlation between walking and zero results. See, and then action and results. See, there seems to be this definite tether between results and action along these lines. Okay, so now begins the discussion of step 11. Okay, so step 11, suggest. So we're back to the word suggest again. prayer and meditation. Okay? We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. So what's the first thing they start talking about? Prayer. Okay? Now, we shouldn't be shy on this. Now, I was pretty gun-shy about this matter of prayer. I never truly understood it. To me, it had all these connotations of just Catholicism and religious rite and all that sort of stuff. Never understood that there was a definite spiritual value to it, and that it needed to be precise and it needed to be developed, and it truly is an art form. See, as you grow and learn how to do it, and what it's all about. So we shouldn't be shy in this matter of prayer. And I know that some of you have been a little shocked every now and then when I suggested that you pray about certain kinds of things. See, that maybe you never thought about praying about before in your life. So you might ask yourself, have you been shy, see, in terms of praying about, various areas of your life? See, it's like, oh God, get me out of this mess. I'm willing to pray about that. Oh God, give me what I want. I'm willing to pray about that. See, I'm not willing to pray about doing the dishes. See, that's out of God's realm. See, I'm not willing to pray about cleaning a house, fixing a meal, buying gasoline, helping somebody else. See, it just never occurred to me, see, that that's what I needed to be doing. See, so in the sense of what they're saying here, see, I was very shy on the matter of prayer and not all that open-minded, see, to learn. See, I really wasn't. I mean, even when I saw what they were talking about, I was just sort of like, nah. See, nah. And then all the stuff would come up about, I don't want to bother God, and,
Yeah.
You got to have that?
Meaning, right. Well, it just seems demeaning to ask for these small things and ask help.
Yeah. Hey, Dave.
Well, we're doing so well running our own law. Fast.
You kind of big issues.
Okay, so what I'd like to suggest to you to do is make a little note here where it says shouldn't be shy on the matter of prayer. Okay, and make a note to get out a piece of paper somewhere along the line here and take your inventory on that and ask yourself, where in my life am I not willing, see, to do this? See if you can take a look at that. See, that's what I had. There were a number of areas. Sex was an area, see, where I didn't want to have anything, any kind of God input. I didn't see any chance for being of service there, any of that sort of stuff. Money, see, I didn't want to pray about that. Okay, didn't want knowledge of God's will, the power to carry that out. See, there were a number of areas in my life. Health things, personal things that were going on with me. I found that I needed to pray for things like clarity. You ever been confused? I needed clarity, when I couldn't understand something. Or I needed a way or a path through a problem, something like that. I needed to pray about that specifically. To me, prayer had always been this, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name kind of deal that sort of, covers your life. You say this prayer. Instead of trying to get to a point, see, where I could aim my prayers like arrows or darts, see, at all of the affairs, no matter how small, in my life. See, and I kind of had to, did you hear what Betty said? Use the word demeaning. Well, it seems kind of demeaning to ask, about the small things. See, but what I found out is, that is God's will. See, that we do that. See?
What do we ask?
Yeah, the tiniest things. There is a very interesting statement in one of the books of the Bible, and I regret that I can't tell you which one. Job, something like that. See, where it says that a human being, the word they use in the Bible is man, see, is not fit to direct his own steps. See, literally, see, is not capable of directing his own walking. See, and needs to be relying on a higher power. See, in things that small. Where do I go? What do I do? See, all that kind of stuff. See, so you might see if you're gun-shy about that. See, what kind of implications does that have in, the way that you think and look on God? So you can start, see if you can be a little open-minded to it. See if you got anything about being shy on this matter of prayer. There's an awful lot of freedom, see, in doing it. See, but there's also humility that has to, see, arrive in certain areas of life where we never had it before and all that kind of stuff. See, these things will solve problems, but they will also make obstacles stand out. See, whatever obstacles are in your path, see, as soon as you start doing this, see, then boom, oops, I didn't even realize that was an obstacle. See, so now you got to go through or around the obstacle, whatever it is. See, so it'll not only solve problems, it'll create a few for you. See, but you rely on God about those. Okay, do you have a question?
It was explained to me that, I'm not sure who told me this, but one of the disciples asked Jesus how to pray. And he told him, and I like the way that this was, what was he said it on. It's like talking to your best friend. And that's what I do here. Is I talk to my best friend. And that happens to be the Great Spirit, and that works.
Sure.
And it was very difficult at first to pray. When I heard that, that made it a lot easier.
Y'all remember the way Bill described the working of the steps on page 13? Where he said he had become willing to have his newfound friend, see, take him away, root and branch.
Yeah.
And you might ask yourself, see, have you come to an understanding of God or an experience of God that God is a friendly thing? See, have you gotten there? Is anybody still afraid of God?
And everything new found.
Yeah.
I have trouble with presuming that I can ask God what I need, though, because all I need to ask God is that He has me do His will, and then I know what to do. I feel like I have a blanket prayer that is, help me to do Your will, and then because it doesn't seem right for me to presume that I can ask for specific things, help on specific things, because I don't know if that's the problem or the thing that needs help. I'm just a human mind trying to figure that out.
Okay, that's cool.
Because that's the bottom line. More and more apparent, it seems to me.
Okay, no problem. Okay, step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. So we, who's the we, shouldn't be shy. See, hopefully now you guys, as we're going through this, see, are starting to include yourselves in this we that we see. See, I hope you're beginning to see that you now are part of the we, see, as you work the steps. Okay, so we shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are doing what? Yeah, using it constantly. See, use means to employ. See, so they have learned how to pray. See, better people than we, see, what have they learned about it? Do it constantly. See, now, real interesting thing is, as I was learning to do this, see, I had to start to do it constantly. See, but I couldn't, make a decision, well, I'm going to do this constantly, because, So I just started, with things I had never prayed about. See, I just started somewhere, in my daily affairs and started doing that. Sometimes I'd forget, sometimes I'd remember, see, and I'd do it, and it would work. See, and then I'd forget about it, and then I'd do it, and it would work. See, and I just kept going at it. See, and finding these places where I wasn't willing to do it, where I'd have these strange mental blank spots. See, in a lot of, areas of life, I'm just not willing to do that. See, and generally it was my pride in the way. See, that would prevent me from seeing the need to do it or the whatever it was I needed to do at that point. Okay, see, so it's not something, see, I don't think anybody makes a decision, well, I'm just going to constantly pray. See, it's just something to start doing. See, and, there are different ways you can do it. So you could try to, pray in an area that you've never prayed about once a day. See, and pick some small thing, not some big thing, something that looks obscure. See, it would make no difference to God whatsoever. So you find one of those and start praying about that, the knowledge of God's will for you in that, see, and how to carry that out. Okay? And see, you can have, at this point, see, there are some assumptions. One of the assumptions I'm making as I make these suggestions, see, is that you got the results that have been talked about in the book. Your obsession to drink alcohol has been removed. Okay? To do drugs. See, I'm hoping everybody's experiencing freedom from that. See, now when that thing's gone, see, you got some room to play around here. See, not to mess around, but to play around. Okay, and to do it scientifically. See, test this stuff. See, just have a scientific mind. See, put it to use someplace where you've never put it to use before and see what happens. Okay, see what results you get. It either works or it doesn't work. See, God either is or isn't. See, but you're never going to know unless you test it. Okay, see, in my experience, I had a little reticence to do that. See, but my experience is, God would much rather prove himself to you than have you try to prove yourself to God. See, but that takes willingness, on our part. See, but this is stuff, that change in attitude that happens, once you've laid your foundation. See, and you got a little room now to maneuver and to grow spiritually. See, and so the things that they're telling you in the book, really do take on the aroma of suggestions here. Okay? More so than the stuff that we talked about in the beginning of the book. And I hope you can see, I hope I'm making myself clear. See, and I hope you understand the difference when I say play around as opposed to mess around. See, this, it's not, we're not trying to, play with matches or any of that. See, this is, it's not that dangerous. See, but the more you do this and the more experience you get, the more faith you'll have. See, and the more trust in God and all that. See, and the more of that occurs in your life, then the more spiritual growth there will be. See, and the more of that there is, and the more independent you are. The more independent you are, the less reliant you are on other human beings. See, and the whims of the world and the catastrophes and all the various things that, drive us and fill us with fear. See, it all hooks together in this great big package. See, but it starts with small things. See, new ideas, new ways of looking at things and new solutions to problems. Okay, see, so don't try, it ain't necessary to be holy and say, I shouldn't be afraid. Anybody done that? I shouldn't be angry, I shouldn't be afraid. See, yeah, you throw this judgment on it instead of practicing the principles on it.
Well, the 10
the
step
books.
allows you to.
Right.
Because I was getting that feeling like I shouldn't be angry, I shouldn't be fearful because then I'll get in trouble. And then when I spoke to her about that anger that I was having last time I was here, it was like, well, maybe I should have the 4 step. And she said, let's pray that I have to do it. And I'm like, oh, really? I can go to God with it? It was like I was afraid to show God that I was angry and fearful, and the minute I did that, it was removed. It was so beautiful.
I think that
Great.
the word play is very essential because one thing I always found is I took God way too seriously.
You bet. Yeah, my sponsor, as some of you know him, he thinks I'm still way too serious. So, perhaps he's right. It's one of the things that, you just look at your experience of AA groups that you go to in meetings. These people are real grim and real serious. See, there is this, constant thing in our groups. See, people don't seem to be too free and too happy. See, so, you may have been infected with that attitude. See, and it might be a hell of a demonstration, to other people. You just be happy. See, found a solution, right? See, you're not perfect. See, we're just kind of like learning how to ice skate here, and it's a little slippery every now and then. See, but either the obsession to drink alcohol and do drugs has been removed or it hasn't. See, and by this point we ought to know. And if it hasn't, let's go back to the beginning and start working. See, but if it has, lighten up. See, perfectly all right. Lighten up. Okay, you got a little room now. Okay, so better men than we are using it how? Constantly. All right, it works. What does it refer to?
Prayer.
Prayer. If we have the proper attitude and work at it. See, so there is work to be done. See, so when I say play, with it, it's kind of like, people play with computers and play, you can play with new ideas. See, but it is work to do it. See, do it with intention and with purpose and with an open mind. See, and look at your old ideas and examine new results. See, if things don't work, take your inventory on them. See, and there is work to be done. See, one of the things I've noticed about me, just as I've gone along, is that I don't say a whole lot of verbal prayers, see, anymore. I say very few verbal prayers out loud, and very few mentally verbal prayers. See, it's more like, this thing. See, and I just know that God knows what I'm talking about at that point. See, so I see something, and I don't know what to do, and I pray about it. See, how do I be of service to this guy? Am I getting through? See, how do I carry the message to this group? See, what do I need to do? See, what do I need to order from this menu? See, literally, so all that kind of stuff. See, what kind of toothpaste to buy? I mean, everything. See, and it's like, all over. See, it's just stuff that I've learned. See, but it's not some things that I have to verbalize anymore. It's just like I very seldom have to get a pen and piece of paper and write out an inventory anymore. They just like automatically do them. When I started, I go verbal kinds of brain. I was learning to do this, but it's all I can understand and teachers how you got it in nature. See, but I did second deal. Well, first from the all that kind of stuff. That's pretty good. I don't care what myself to believe anymore. All over the stuff that I know about for him and not things that I have to verbalize. So it's like it's very helpful to get a piece of paper and write out an inventory.
That's for the word that I still prefer to be service. It is a big tool of myself. Wondering, so I started more consistently praying. So I find myself getting into the conversation, getting into the program, and with the fear, all of a sudden I start to stumble or get off track and pray again, that comes back into the and the more I did that, the more it became maybe just a thing of whether I was in that total. So I started to take my instruments with it. I was doing what I was doing,
even if the problem is today, fear seems to do it. And even in the midst of whatever trauma or tragedy or pain or problem they're having, it's trying to be a service. And to meet the calamity with serenity by practicing these principles. And they don't get drunk. They also don't bounce off the walls and donuts. So you go by other kind of stuff that we generally do. They don't have those kind of things. Death is full of problems. You know, we're death. There's no problems in here. I'd say that everything's going to be let you go right now. How are you going to go on? You know, the numbers are exactly from that. It is a big freedom. It's also a big service to most people. People almost being loaded up with advice. Okay. It works if we have a proper attitude. So you got to ask yourself, what is the proper attitude? And work at it. So, are you willing to work at it? Learn how to do it. Put it into practice. If we can practice these principles where all of our affairs. Okay. It would be easy to be vague about this matter. You bet. Oh, we don't know anything about this. I don't know. We believe we can make definite and valuable suggestions. Okay, so here comes definite medical suggestions. Which really work, okay, for anybody who does them. And now we're going to get into what a lot of people think step 10 is. This next paragraph is coming up. Most of the discussions I hear in meetings about step 10 are referring to this part of this one part of step 11. Okay, so when we retire at night, and we constructively review our day. What does the word constructive mean?
Towards the improvement or
Positive.
just beating yourself up for example, so improve it today.
Yeah, exactly. See, that is the point they're going to make. See, this is supposed to be a constructive review. Daniel gives the word definition of review, which is, say it again. What he said was to look over. Okay. So he defined review for us. So we're going to constructively look over what we've done before. What was learned today. And so one of the things we've done today is step 10. When did we do that today? We did this all day. What did we do in step 10? We looked for resentment, something this dishonesty here. When it cropped up, we have to get out of remove it. If we had to discuss with somebody, we didn't do that. And then we asked God to direct our attention to remove the fear or whatever it was, direct our attention in service. Somebody we could help, for instance. That's one of the things that we did today. Okay, so when we retire at night, see, without trying to understand that step 10 stuff, see, this is one of the things we need to be too well. When you do it, step 10, see, this makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't sound like a step out of procedure anymore. Okay, so where do we what? Okay, well, you're going to know. If you do a step 10, you're going to know what you were done. It's going to be very good to you. Yes, I know I was. If I wasn't good, like I was, so you wouldn't say, look at me. Right there. So, we'll be resentful, dishonest, resentful, selfish, discounted, or afraid. When? Today. Today. Right? Do we owe an apology? For what? Something we did today. At least maybe at the time we did whatever we did, see, we weren't willing to make an amend or clean it up. Alright, so now we're stuck with the wisdom intent. Well, what do we need to do? Constructively review it to beat ourselves up. Such a point. George should be today. So do we know an apology? So, this stuff, if you do step 10, and you can do this stuff with an open mind, you don't need to beat yourself up. Just, I'm human, this is what I've done today. Okay? This is what needs to occur as a result of that. Then you go to sleep, you sleep like a pig. Then we go to an apology, and we kept something to ourselves, which should have been, we should be discussed with another person. So you see how these step 11 questions refer directly to what we were supposed to be doing during the day with step 10. So what are we really doing here? We're checking up on our 10-step progress. That's step 11 here. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So this is not stuff that is designed, people taking this paragraph and make step 10 out of you. So they've done that night every now and then when you feel bad. But it directly connects to the step discussion over page 84. Okay, so if we have something to ourselves, we should be discussed with another person at once. So, one of the things I did was I was at start to ask myself these questions every night. I would just have the book out and I would go through this. Okay, and I would go, oh man, I didn't take my 10 step at all today. So that was my constructive review. I have blown this totally. And then that's where I got to step 10. I would keep doing this, and I would find out I owe an apology. I was unwilling to make that amend. And I'd ask myself, why? Pride, big time. Fear, big time. It's going to cost me money. So I would take my inventory. I'd grab it. See, why am I still stuck with it? And what's going to happen if I don't clean it up? See, this is the wreckage of your presence. And it's going to continue to be the wreckage of my life until I do something about it. Back into step 9, whatever the situation we usually see it many times, pray for the strength to do it. Because I still wanted to kill people. I still wanted to wring their goddamn necks sometimes. All that. So I failed. I didn't do this perfectly. I'm human, and I need some strength and some direction, and a lot of times a willingness to go clean up whatever it is I had failed to clean up that day. And I just got better at doing it. Every day I go a little bit better. Took a while. Okay, here come the other questions. Were we kind and loving toward all? Okay, now see what happened to me when I started to follow the directions. See, I had already done step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I completed them. And I was doing this every day, and I would be reading this and I'd say, was I kind and loving toward all? And I would say, was I kind and loving toward anybody? No. And the honest answer was no. I was. I'm just off trooper all day, and I wasn't practicing spiritual principles. And I got in a lot of collisions, and boy, I really screwed this one up. Okay, so I need some spiritual help here. And I just, if I found myself getting depressed or beating myself up about it, I asked God to remove that. So I could just be honest, do it constructively, and keep going. So, one of the things that I had to fight with, one of my character defects was this perfectionist thing. Just kept on. You may have it. Some of you may have it. And it just really needs to be ground down. Because it takes a Okay, so were we kind and loving toward all? See, so these are very clear questions that don't take a whole lot of psychological insight. See, they're very clear things which can be answered very quickly by anyone who's being honest with themselves. See, was I kind and loving toward all? If not, who not? Why not? What do I need to do? I want to apologize. I want to amend this. What do I have to do about it? Okay, next question. This one used to blow my mind. What could we have done better? See, the answer to that is everything. See, and that's the way it was for a long time for me. Everything. See, shortcomings in every area of doing this stuff. See, but even with that, even with the shortcomings, see, I've noticed immense promises happening simply as a result of being willing to do this. A lot of attitude change. See, a lot more humor and laughter and a lot less collision in my life. See, and all that kind of stuff. See, even with all of the failure that was going on, see, my failure to be perfect at this, simply by sincerely doing it, not trying to do it, but doing it, and failing at it and doing it again, see, incredible results started happening in other areas of my life. See, which is one of the things that we all need to learn about meditation. See, is that, the old ideas about meditation seem to be that, you put your concentration on your third eye or your fifth chakra or something like that, or you breathe or you do whatever you do, see, and then you go have out-of-body experiences and prana showers, and your Kundalini energy rises, and it's just a lotus position, all of that kind of stuff, see, and there may be a lot of truth to that. I've fooled around with some of that stuff, see, but what meditation really does, it really doesn't make much difference what happens while you're meditating, see, especially for an alcoholic. You meditate, you screw the meditation all to hell, see, and that's great, see, but because as long as you keep doing it, what you'll notice is the rest of your life is going to calm down. See, if you simply will learn to meditate. See, and this is the beginning of actually learning how to do that. This is just really baby steps in terms of meditation. See, so I had always thought meditation was this thing where you felt real holy and you sat in a lotus position and you flew out of body. See, or some, major league spiritual world-class stuff was supposed to happen while you meditated. See, what I've discovered is that what happens while you meditate is really inconsequential, see, even if you foul it up completely. See, but if you stick with it, see, the rest of your life is going to change. See, you're going to notice less collision, see, in the supermarkets you go to, see, and in the meetings you go to, and your prayers and all kinds of, see, this is some real spiritual value that starts getting transmitted into your life. See, it's really an incredible thing. See, but it all starts with, see, following these directions. See, and you might notice that what they're calling meditation here smacks a lot of inventory. See, it smacks a whole lot of inventory. See, which is as it should be. Okay, bye.
Isn't meditation in the dictionary preparation for prayer or getting ready to pray?
Well, I have seen that definition in dictionaries. I've also heard a lot of people in AA say that what it is some form of listening. And, maybe for them it is. To me, see, it's a preparation for living. Okay? And what happens as a result of taking step 10, 11, and 12 and doing them, actually putting them into practice, is your whole life becomes a meditation. Okay? Then you don't have to meditate in your meditation anymore. Because that's what's going on is meditation. See, and it's just this amazing thing. I've had a lot of conversations with my sponsor about this and why this seems to work for alcoholics and other forms of meditation don't seem to do it for alcoholics. And, so we really don't know. What we do know is that this works. So it's just something that I want to just urge you to do. See, whether you're good at it or not, keep doing it. See, whether you screw it up or not, keep doing it. See, if you really hate it, keep doing it. If you really love it, keep doing it. If you're apathetic about it, keep doing it. See, no matter what happens, just keep doing it. Okay? So, once again, it's a thing that you can approach scientifically. See, and that is you can take the stuff that you find on page 86 and 87 here, see, and do it for 7 nights. Okay. I mean, notice it's not just nights here, but you see, if you follow the directions here exactly for 7 days, you will see a difference in your life, I guarantee it. But you can't skip a day and you got to be thorough, see, but if you do that and you rely on God to do it, you'll see a difference in your life. Just do what we're talking about on these 2 pages. Okay, so we're still in the questions now. I said, what could we have done better? See, were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? You bet. See, you bet I was. See, still has, real clear to me that God hadn't reached in and pulled all the self-centeredness out of me all at once. There was definite thought of others, and I was trying to be of service, and, doing a lot of that stuff. But a lot of my thinking was still about old Mikey boy. Okay, and or were we thinking of what we could do for others? See, and this gradually, the percentage just started to change. It was like, one of those sliding volume knobs, going, they got those graphs on them. See, and it was, mostly red, saying Mike, and just as I went along, see, it moved over into the blue where it got to, most of my thinking was about other people. See, and all that came about as a result of doing this. Okay, or were we thinking of what we could do for others? See, what action we could take? See, one of the things I found as a result of asking myself this question is that I had claimed, a lot of care in my life. I was one of these people who really cared. And I wanted everybody to know how much I cared. See, and look at me, I care. And I tell you I care about Dave, and I'll tell Dave I care about Liz, and I'll tell Daniel I care about his mom, and I'll tell his mom I care about Daniel, and I really care about Ruth. See, but I didn't do anything for anybody. See, it was all this self-centered kind of thing, see, that I said, well, I'm thinking of others. See, and the evidence of that is I care. See, but there's no evidence in my life that I'm doing anything. See, so yes, I care, but no, I'm not doing it. See, there is a problem. The evidence and the thinking aren't, the words and the music didn't match. See, so I discovered that in myself. See, so then I pretty much gave up, I care. See, and then started to be, I started to say, well, I'm either doing or I'm not doing. See, the heck, who cares if I care? See, who gives a damn if I care? See, God doesn't care if I care. See, nobody cares if I care. See, so I might as well do something. Okay, see, just, very simple things like that started to become apparent. See, and then I'd have to do, and then, different kinds of things happen. See, so here's self-centeredness, here's the constant thought of others. See, so we got page 62 and page 20. Which is it? Where are you? What's the balance? See, everybody's seeking some balance in their life. See, what are you juggling there? Okay, so, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, or of what we could pack into the stream of life? Remember page 63? Less and less interested in ourselves? more and more we became interested in seeing what we could contribute, see, to other people and to life as it's going on around us. See, so we become less and less taking and self-centered and greedy and all that kind of stuff that a lot of us find. And we're more and more, see, starting to do things for other people. Okay, but, and this is a big but. Remember, the book buts are all big buts. Okay, but we must be careful, and this is a big must, it's a big but. Careful means careful, not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection. See, and literally, see, this was Bill's experience. If you read about Bill, see, he drifted a lot, see, into worry, remorse, and morbid reflection, and he suffered deep depressions, and he beat himself up a whole lot. See, now, some of us fall into that very easily, and others of us, it's not the world's biggest deal. See, so if you have suffered a lot of depression, and you tend toward the morbid, reflective side of life when you're taking your inventory, see, underline this about 96 times, see, and you got to start, see, to rely on God and be aware of it, see, because these are some major shortcomings if you want to grow spiritually. See, absolutely no good comes from these things. See, there's nothing positive about them. They are not only useless, things got pretty tough. It's just something you need to be honest with yourself about and to be real careful, see, when you're taking your inventory at any time, putting any of these things into practice. Okay? Not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. Okay? So if you can see that being worried, remorseful, and full of morbid reflection and all those kind of things, see, what does that do? Doesn't that make you self-centered? See, that's what it did to me. See, it is a totally self-centered, self-consuming activity. All right? And when I'm in that place, how much service can I be? Zip. See, I suck stuff out of other people. See, and see, when I get into that stuff, then I'm looking for attaboys, and I'm looking for agreement, and I'm looking for sympathy, and I'm looking for hugs, and I'm looking for this'll pass, and I want people to notice how hard I tried and how badly I failed, and, you know, can't you see the effort I put into all this? And here I am again, and just, see, this thing would just snowball. See? And so it's one of the things I had to be careful of. So, see, take a look, see, and view those things not as stuff that you can overcome on your own. See, put them in step 6 or step 7. Call them a shortcoming, call them a character defect. See, remorse, worry, self-pity, morbid reflection, depression, all that stuff. So you put it in step 6 or step 7 somewhere. Call it a shortcoming, call it a character defect, and rely on God to remove it. See, because if you see, just notice that you have never been able to overcome these things on your own before, right? Is that true about everybody? Yes. Okay. So what do we need to do? We need to rely on a power greater than ourselves. Because we can't be of much service when we're going, that kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah, Dave.
I'm just agreeing with
Oh,
that.
all right.
I count my hand in there.
Isn't it more or less a choice to ask God to remove it or not?
Well, yeah, there's a choice there. But you might not be aware of the choice when you're in the middle of it. You might not even be aware of any choice getting made. So that's why it's always better to not fall into quicksand than to know 7 techniques for getting yourself out.
Isn't that what the word drift would mean? To be honest? Because to me, that word drift really, it sounds, because I'm, yeah.
I don't know,
Okay. Well, yeah, you can drift quickly and you can drift slowly, right?
But with the honesty, if you were honest about it, like take this every night, and, why do I have a little sore throat or what, you know, everything's just great. Why did I have this little accident?
rely on God. See, some of this, have any of you had, that they don't mention it much in the book, but Pollyanna-itis? See, no problem here. Everything's just fine. See, and see, just kind of like skimming the surface of life, going, nah, see, no problem. See, well, that's not honest either. Okay, see, to pretend that nothing is happening isn't any more honest than morbidly reflecting on how horrible what's happening is. See, neither of them are honestly facing the problems. See, so, I hate to apply terms like Pollyanna to myself, but I was. See, I had an awful lot of that, especially with things I really didn't want to look at. Oh, it's no big deal, and I'll just move on here. Keep it light, keep it gay, tell a joke. See, and
Probably worked here.
you're with me on this one, aren't you, guys? Yes. Okay. Let's move on. Yeah. Okay. See, all of this. I mean, just from the discussion here, see, it's pretty clear that everybody is like, raising the ante on your own honesty, and that's a good thing to see. And just, keep doing that. See, just keep throwing more chips on the table. See, as you go along and take your inventory. See what you see. See, face whatever you got to face. Rely on God. See, follow the directions. Keep doing that in all your affairs, best you can. See, just keep doing it. See, good stuff happens, great, enjoy it. Bad stuff happens, great, face it. Keep going. Boom. See, don't hang on to anything. Don't beat yourself up. See, just keep going. Okay, the problem there, see, the biggest problem with it is it will diminish our usefulness to others. See, if it diminishes our usefulness to others, remember our usefulness to others is what is going to turn into the foundation of our recovery. See, once we have grasped all this, we're going to begin to see that in the next chapter. Okay, see, so people who are useless, see, can't do much service anywhere. Their home, their occupation, or their affairs. See, we're too consumed with our self-pity and our remorse and beating ourselves up and, oh God, I'm not perfect yet. Okay, see, so see, you can be, you got to ask yourself, see, this is all practical.
Look over here, we can say. Look over there.
Look over here. I can't look at anybody. I gotta say this stuff and look at the ceiling.
Look us in the eye.
Okay, so, okay, does everybody understand what the questions and what they just said and the warning? Okay, so you got to be careful. Must, big must, to be careful. See, so hopefully you're not too into that anymore, but if you are, see, just be careful. So, after making our review, see, so this is an honest, constructive review of what went on when? Today. All right. See, we ask God's what? See, now isn't it interesting? See that see there are so many people in AA who are into forgiveness. Well, I'm forgiving this guy, and he's forgiven me, and we're forgiving our parents, and they're forgiving us back. See, let's forgive this and forget that. Wow. See, but in terms of what the book has to say about this, see, the first place we find that is right here. See, in step 11. See, where, see, we are asking God's forgiveness for what? Our derelictions in the day. Okay? This is where we're doing it. Okay? And inquire what corrective measures should be taken. Next two invisible words are by whom. Okay, see? Okay, see, so literally here, see, we're taking, step 11 is a meditative kind of an inventory at night, at least that's one part of it. Okay, and after we have done this review, we are relying on who? See, God. See, so we're praying for God's knowledge and power here. See, what corrective action should be taken? Now, that's going to be very apparent to most of us if we're being honest with ourselves, called, I need to make these amends promptly. See, I need to do a better job on my 10th step. See, that kind of stuff. See, is generally the sort of answer that becomes readily apparent when you actually follow this procedure and rely on God. See, so this is, we're not to beat ourselves up. See, we're simply relying on God. Okay, I screwed up. God forgive me, whatever God is to you. See, now, I need to, see, I can't continue to do the same things over and over that aren't working. See, or I can't continue to balk, see, over and over. and call myself honest. Does that make sense? See, so do you see the responsibility that is going to get put on your spiritual growth here? See, that this whole thing that we do about kidding ourselves about things, see, has to go. See, if we're going to follow these directions. See, suddenly the tempo of the marching band starts to pick up a little bit. See, left, right, that kind of stuff. Okay, see, so, see, once again, see, don't beat yourself up about it, see, but just notice, see, that there's a lot of responsibility to this, see, in terms of being honest. See, if I'm going to take my inventory 7 nights in a row and say I didn't do the 10th step 7 nights in a row, and I ask God's forgiveness, and what corrective measures should be taken, the answer quite clearly, see, is I got to start to do the 10th step. See, that's the corrective action I have to take. All right, so the next night, see, I'm doing the same thing. I didn't take any corrective action. God forgive me. See, what corrective action needs to be taken? Step 10. Third night, see, God, see, over and over and over again, see, pretty soon, I got to get the idea I am not being honest here. See, now, does that make sense? See, so that's part of the beauty of this. See, is that the honesty makes you go, oh, shit, see, more action. Okay? Now, that's just one part of the 11th step. That's the at night part. Okay, now we're coming to the at morning part of step 11. Okay, see, so now we are beginning to get the idea that step 11 is a lot like step 10. See, it's not an every now and then deal. See, it's a what? These are daily spiritual, see, practices. See, so what does practice mean? To do repeatedly with a view toward perfection. Okay, now before we get into this, I really need to go smoke a cigarette. Now we know what to do at night.
Walking out a cigarette. Oh.
Next two words are on awakening. What does that mean? Okay. The assumption is in the morning.
Not the dimensional awakening. On your spiritual awakening.
I got a friend up in Placerville, California. He said, having had a spiritual awakening, he rolled over and went back to sleep. Which you can do. Right? People have done it. Okay, so, on awakening, let us think. Well, where are we going to think? The noodle, right? About the 24 hours ahead. So, number one, we consider our plans for the day.
Isn't that a form of meditating?
We consider our plans for the day. Okay. Before we begin what?
Day.
Yeah. We consider our plans for the day before we begin doing what?
Anything.
The day.
What's the previous sentence?
Plan.
Previous sentence is what?
Oh, before we consider our plans.
Yeah, before we consider our plans for the day. Okay. So on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead, one day. See, you begin to understand where one day at a time actually came from. It's all about putting spiritual principles into our life, one day at a time. Somewhere along the line it became just don't drink one day at a time. See, but this is all about doing things one day at a time. The 10th step, one day at a time. The 11th step, one day at a time. Okay, so on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Now, before we begin considering our plans for the day, who are we going to rely on? God. Okay, so this isn't a self-willed consideration of today. See, this is we ask God to do something here. See, because we need to consider this mentally. See, so we ask God to direct what? Our thinking. See, about what? Our plans for the day. Especially, and this is very important, very powerful prayer here. See, this is another thing. See, if you put these things into practice, you will notice results in your life. Especially asking that it refers to what? Thinking. So especially asking that our thinking be divorced. See, from three things. Self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Okay. Now, when are we doing this? In the morning, considering our plan for the day. Now, see, what happens to most people who get any kind of self-awareness in AA or in any kind of thing, see, it's, we go fall in the quicksand, see, and then we have to get rescued out of the quicksand, see, and then somebody walks up and say, well, what were your motives? See, well, it's too late. See, it's way too late. See, and that's what, does that make sense to you? See, that's what we're all doing, and we think that works. See, we're all looking for our motives after we fell in the crap again. See?
Well, you see it for later. I mean, it helps you avoid it later if you see what you learn from your mistakes, so to speak, in that respect.
Well, most alcoholics don't seem to. See, I did it again, and here's why. See, but the evidence is I did it again. See, so see, this is very specific stuff. See, which is, see, we're not interested right at this point in hindsight. So ask yourself, how much success have you had with hindsight as a solution to problems? This is called foresight. Okay? So especially asking that our thinking, when, during the day here, see, in these plans, be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. From the get-go. See, not from the catch-up. Okay? Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with what? Assurance. So, see, this is not anything about check your brains at the door and be a blind believer. See, and I don't know what works and what doesn't work, or why I did what I did, or why what happened, or see, any of that. See, under these conditions, what are these conditions? Relying on God, see, to direct our thinking. We can employ our mental faculties with assurance. See, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Okay. And it just makes no sense, see, that somebody's going to grow spiritually and not get mental clarity. See, and not be ignorant. See, you can't just, it all fits together. See, you have to start growing mentally as well as spiritually and all that. You got brains to use, you got to see, mind gets used the way God intended minds to be used, instead of all this self-will, worry, remorse, plans, driven stuff that we've all been up to. So under these conditions, see, which is about relying on God, when, one day at a time, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. I've been in many meetings, see, where someone takes this sentence, see, and then they apply that, see, as the solution to their problems. See, well, the book says God gave us brains to use, see, so just use your brains, see, they say to somebody who's in trouble. See, forgetting that an awful lot of stuff came before page 86, where it says God gave us brains to use. Okay, and that the sentence is being used in a very specific way here. Okay, our thought life, where is the thought life? In the mind. Okay, will be placed on a much higher plane, see, when our thinking is cleared of what? Wrong motives. See, so, see, this deal that we do, see, we fall in the quicksand or step in the dog do, and then we look at our motives, see, but those motives never get cleared, see, when we're doing it from hindsight, see. So this is about foresight, see, taking some action before we step in the dog do again. See, rather than trying to scrape it off our shoes spiritually one more time. See, now does that sound practical to you? See, it's all this stuff is very, very practical. See, and we need to begin to see that this hindsight thing, which is what our inventory actually was at step 4, wasn't that hindsight? Looking back, see, well, we started, see, getting this new vision, this new set of eyes, see, with hindsight, see, but now we're getting moved into current sight and now foresight. Does that make sense? See, so we're getting our awareness pushed forward here a little bit. Okay, see, and these are all things, see, it's like riding a bicycle at first, see, but you will notice results if you're willing to follow the directions. So our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane, see, and on a higher plane, see, there's not so much, I got to kill this son of a bitch, see, and, all that kind of stuff, I got to get even, and I got to be right, and, see, all those things, if those are plaguing you, okay, which they did me. So you're going to find that as you do this, a lot less of that goes on. Okay, in thinking about our day, we may face what? Anybody been indecisive? Okay, see, a lot of times, see, this is a, it's a lot of, it's called analysis paralysis sometimes. I don't know, what to do, all that. See, so when facing indecision, see, now, which is very common for all of us, especially, see, as you begin to do this, see, here are some clear-cut directions. See, once again, see, be willing to try it. See, and then try it again, which you're going to see the word persist here come up. Okay, so we may not be able to determine which course to take, see, or what thing to choose, or what the decision to see. Now, where does indecision happen in your life? Well,
Difficult problems.
yeah, problems. I didn't ask the question very clearly. See, in all your affairs, various affairs in life, work, family, relationships, food, all that stuff, see, indecision comes up. Okay, so, what do you do when you're faced with that? See, try to figure it out. Okay, see, and figuring it out does something called not work. Okay, so, see, they're giving you something to do, see, anytime you're faced with indecision in any area of your life. See, here it is. So, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. See, we're not clear. It doesn't make sense. Okay, here, what do? We pray about it. See, we ask God for what? Inspiration. See, look at the word. In is where? That's a location. Spirit. We're looking for inspiration. See, and now, see, by doing the things prior to this direction, see, we are now getting ourselves mentally in a place, see, where we can develop the vital sixth sense that they talked about over on the bottom of page 85. See, but when our thinking is not clear to the worry, the self-pity, the self-seeking motives, when we don't take our inventory, when we're full of all this other stuff, inspiration is useless. You can't see it or hear it. See, and you just get frustrated and you go, oh, okay, God doesn't care. This doesn't work and I'm out of here. So, see, all of this stuff was preparation, really, see, for this that we're talking about. See, and we all face a lot of indecision in our lives. Okay, so this is something that we need to practice, as you'll see, and begin to see results, and it really works. Okay, so, here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought or a decision. See, what was the promise over on top of page 84? We will intuitively know how to handle problems that used to baffle us. See? All the indecision in our life, we were baffled. See, I don't know how to help this guy. I don't know what to do with my kids. I don't know what to do with my parents. I don't know what to do at work. I don't know what to do about this. See, I'm not clear. What's my will? What's God's will? See, all that stuff. See, you hear these kind of questions all the time, especially from newcomers in AA meetings. How do I know? How do I know? See, well, there's a way to know, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to be done, see, in order to get to where you know what to do, see, such that it works. Okay, so we ask God for inspiration, intuitive thought, or a decision. See, so literally, see, you're saying a very specific prayer about a very specific problem in your life. I need clarity what to do about this. Okay, boom, that's the prayer. Okay, and then it says, now we bounce off walls. See, now we call somebody. See, now we relax and take it easy. Okay, now that may be a little difficult for you right at first. See, it really was for me. How? See, how do you relax and take it easy? See, I feel like I got 6 shotguns pointed at my head. And you're telling me to relax and take it easy. Okay, see, so this takes a little practice. See, you need to pray about it. Okay, we don't struggle. We don't struggle. See, so if you find yourself, see, willing to do this, see, you might find that it's pretty hard for you to relax, take it easy, and get out of the struggle. What I did was I asked God to remove the struggle as soon as I found myself in it. See, I'd say the prayer asking for the solution to the problem. See, and then I'd be in a struggle, and then I'd ask God to remove the struggle so that I could hear the answer to the prayer. See, that works. Works. Mana's meditation. Okay. We don't struggle. We are often the right answers come after we have done what? For a while. Okay, so see, what are most alcoholics willing to do if they're willing to do anything at all? It's okay, I'll try that. See, so they okay, God grant me a decision. Didn't work. I'm out of here. That's it. Never try it again. So you never do it again. See, so this is something that needs to be practiced and persisted at. See, one of the fears that came up for me is, well, what if I make a mistake while I'm practicing? Anybody got that fear? See, what if I screw somebody over while I'm practicing? What I've discovered as a result of being willing to follow the directions here is that whenever I made a mistake as a result of following this and then acting on what I thought was the answer but turned out not to be, the mistakes I made, it was like there was this big spiritual vacuum cleaner that went around behind me and cleaned it all up. It was the most amazing demonstration of God working in my life that I have ever had. See, because while I was doing this, I was doing a lot of working with others, and I was very upset about that for a while because I had just, at that point, become aware of the life or deathness of what we're talking about. See, and I was no longer willing to cavalierly give people advice about what they ought to do in their life and send them off a cliff to get drunk and all that. See, and I didn't understand any of this all that well. See, and I was afraid, of doing this, especially in the working with others area, because I knew that, I had seen the criticality of a lot of these situations. See, that doing one thing wrong literally can end up with an alcoholic getting drunk and maybe dying. See, and that I couldn't sit there and go, I'm not responsible anymore. See, so that brought up a lot of fear for me. See, well, what I found by just being willing to persist and to practice this stuff as I went along is literally that the things that I did, even the mistakes I made, worked out, didn't hurt other people. And I was really grateful for that. Really was a major thing, big miracle in my life. Okay, so we're often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. So don't expect perfection of yourself, right off the bat. And it's not easy. Okay, top page 87. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually, what does gradually mean? Slowly becomes a working part of what? Whose? Right, see, so here's where, God begins to enter the mind, after having already entered the heart. Okay, but this takes some persistence and some work and some willingness, and all that stuff. And it is a gradual process, but depending on your own willingness and the amount that you practice, it can happen quite rapidly. Okay, it says, being still inexperienced. Anybody in here inexperienced? Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we're going to be inspired at all times. Okay, and we might pay for this presumption. What presumption? That we're being inspired by God. In all sorts of what? Absurd actions and ideas. All you got to do is read the history of AA, and you will see a number of absurd actions and ideas that Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob were into, especially the first 2 or 3 years. In AA, a lot of grandiose kind of ideas. They sure came from God. Strings of hospitals, and dinners with fucking Rockefeller, and just all this kind of stuff. Which they thought this had to be God's will.
Stewed tomatoes and sauerkraut.
Stewed tomatoes, sauerkraut, and honey.
Yeah.
On bread. That was standard fare. Their experience, they learned, by their own experience. And part of their experience, was some absurd stuff. Even reading about it today, a lot of it looks absurd. I'm sure that they laughed like crazy a little after it happened. But while they were doing it, they were serious. This has got to be God's will. Well, it turned out not to be. So that's been my experience also. Is that I have had the presumption of being inspired quite a few times when I wasn't. And ended up with egg yolk, on my own head. Okay, but just willing, see, I was willing to clean up any mistakes that went along if they affected anybody else. I just kept taking my inventory on it. And I got to the point where I could really laugh at many of the mistakes that I made. See, and so here, see, the best thing I can suggest to you out of my own experience is be willing to make mistakes. See, don't be afraid to take some risks with this and to make mistakes. See, my experience is that you're under the protection and care of God if you're sincerely trying to develop this and to learn and to be of service to other people. Okay? And as a matter of fact, the more mistakes you make and the more risks you take, the more you're going to grow. See, so this is not a place where being timid about it, see, pays off. See, going, I don't want to, screw anything up. See, go for it. But do whatever you do. Rely on God. Okay, so we might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes. See, so that's notice that they mention a lot of things 3 times. See, and 3 times now they have mentioned this isn't going to happen miraculously overnight. Okay, so after we've tried it for a while, gradually becomes a working part of the mind, and as time passes. Okay, so is it pretty clear? See, just expecting instantaneous results and clairvoyance and psychic stuff to occur, see, probably is not going to happen. See, but intuition, this vital 6th sense, see, by which we actually find God's will for us, see, this is how we do that. See, and it is a practice. Okay, so nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of what? Inspiration. All right, see, and see, that is actually God working, see, in our lives. See, and that's how we really come into conscious contact with the knowledge of God's will for us. Okay, see, and if we don't know what God's will for us is, it's pretty hard to do it. See, it's pretty hard to see it. Okay, and one of the things you'll see when we get over in chapter 7, in the discussion of some problems that you're likely to have when working with people in their relationships, the word apparent appears all of a sudden. See, how things will become apparent, see, if you practice God's will. See, and this is one of the ways that things start to become apparent. The right thing to do, the right choice to make, all that kind of stuff. See, and that gets clearer and clearer and clearer as you go along in practice.
Can I just have a question?
I was thinking the same thing.
I didn't hear, what was the last part?
To dance, like a dance. We say that we dance in, and we dance out. But we are still dancing.
I suppose I don't get the dance analogy, but
Well, it takes a while to perfect dance technique, so
Can't hear.
communicate.
great, go for it.
This is something that makes sense to me. Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Be you and dance. Be you and dance. Gives abundance.
Okay, so see, remember these are things that we're all learning, right? Okay, we're not perfect, we're not PhDs at it, so it's definitely a good idea to take it seriously, okay? But don't be so serious. Does that make sense? Do take this seriously and work at it, and see, read it over. See, and follow the directions. Do it as precisely as you can. Stick to it. Make it a practice. See, but don't beat yourself up. See, if you find that you're not perfect, don't beat yourself up about that. Okay, so you'll just begin to see results, no matter how poorly you do it, if you do it. See, that's one of the amazing things about it. See, and just would like to, before we knock off here, we're not going to get all this done tonight, consider what we're talking about in terms of your effectiveness at carrying the message. See? How much more effective can you be carrying the message, see, if your thinking is divorced of self-seeking, dishonest, self-pity motives, and if you really are able to ask God for what you need in all the areas that it takes to be of service to other people, and the different kinds of people that you meet, the problems that you're going to run into, and all that kind of stuff. This is very powerful stuff. See, just in the terms of what we call the 12-step work in AA, see, as well as families and affairs and all the other things. See, but in the life, death matters of life. See, when it comes into the working with others, this is a major part of being effective and growing in understanding and all that kind of stuff. Okay, now before we end, I thought we would get to chapter 7 next week, but we're not going to. But I want to give you these things anyway. Dave got them for me. I want to give everybody one of these. And I'd like to ask, do you have one at home? I'd like to ask you to read it between now and 2 weeks from now, which was when we start chapter 7. And read it a couple of times and see what it's saying to you. Okay? And be really familiar with that so that you'll have that in mind as we learn how to work with others in chapter 7. Okay? So read it with an open mind. You might, approach it from a couple of points of view. Read it as if you're the sponsor. Read it as if you're a brand newcomer in AA. See? And see what you find. See, in AA's pamphlet on sponsorship. Okay. And then we're going to be looking at the chapter Working with Others, see, which is about what? Sponsorship. See, in chapter 7. We won't get to it next week, but 2 weeks from tonight. See, so that'll give you 2 weeks to read it a couple times, get familiarized, see, with that material. Okay? So, a little more homework.
What's meditation to you? It says, as we conclude this period of meditation, which sounds like what we've been through.
So prayer.
Right.
When I used to come up with these, saying, meditate so much about preparation of prayer.
Yeah, we talked about this some before you got here, about what it is, and there are some dictionary definitions of it. Okay, see, and some people say it's listening, and some people say it's the preparation for prayer, and there are a number of different definitions, see, of it. See, but what it is right here. See, what it's about, see, is following a set of instructions that are designed to get you to a point where you can hear, see, God's will for you in your life. Okay. And this is what's doing. This is how it gets set up in the doing of it.
Okay, but you've done other meditations.
I have, yeah. See, what we're talking about is this one. This is about meditation. This is about being and living meditatively. And it's very different from all the other things called meditation I have ever come across. Okay, that's it for tonight. 5 at step 11, we'll just go over what we went over last week. We'll pick up. The last 2 lines down at the bottom where it says step 11. Suggests. There's more of these suggestions. Step 11 suggests we go to a lot of meetings. Talk about our day. Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. Okay, we shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Anybody pray about anything this week that you've never been willing to pray about before? Get any results?
Yeah, right.
Getting a little less shy about it. Okay, right. Okay, better men than we are using it how? Okay. Everybody using it more? Yeah, good. So that's God's job. Okay, it works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. And what would the proper attitude be?
Humility,
Humility? Open-mindedness?
not self-seeking or self-serving,
Right.
thinking of others,
Service? Okay. Constant thought of others, how we can help meet their needs. Willingness? Everybody that tried it a little bit this week, is that some evidence of willingness? Yeah, see, so some action there, you can look at that. Yeah, I did it more this week than I did the week before that. Evidence, willingness. Look at the results that come, whatever. Okay, so it works, see, but the requirement there is if we have proper attitude and work at it. Okay, so anybody seeing as a result of that there may be some work to do in this area? Yeah. And it really is. See, prayer can be a lot of work, and it gets way away. My attitude about prayer had always been it's some sort of a punishment or a begging or some kind of thing that was required, and was going to do something to my soul, but I didn't know what that was, any of that sort of stuff. And all of those ideas, the more I did this, left. So this became more and more a very practical thing to do, a practical solution to problems in life, an impractical, extra duty or burden that I had. So, and I began to understand what they had said in the first part of the book, whereas quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. See, and it was by doing these things here in the action chapter, having done the first 9 steps, where I really began to understand that, see the evidence in my own life. See, that there was work and the willingness, and I couldn't dispense with the 4 essentials, but yet I liked the results a lot. The results I got were always more than enough recompense or payment for the effort that it took, see, to do these things. Okay, so I had to start working at it. So it says it would be easy to be vague about this matter. Yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. Okay, so here comes the discussion once again about what you do at night in terms of step 11. See, and this is the beginning of really coming to an understanding of meditation. See, not by reading about it, but by doing it. Okay, and beginning to see whether there are results from these things. So when we retire at night, we can, let's say when we retire at age 65. I'm going to get around to this one of these days. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Anybody find any problems with constructive review as opposed to morbid reflection? We constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? See, those 4 things that we were looking for during the day while we did the 10th step. Do we owe an apology? Is there an amend that has to be made? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person when? Once. If you find yourself putting off things that begin to understand why it's necessary to do them at once, they really start to eat your lunch. Anybody had that experience? Okay, were we kind and loving toward anybody? What could we have done better? What could we have done worse? Not much. See, this is a lot like riding a bicycle. See, nobody's an expert at it to begin with. Okay, so what could we have done better? Could I have done step 10 better? I've been putting off step 9, anything else? See, what could I have done better in terms of the steps? See, being kind and loving towards other people. See, not being a wimp or a doormat. Being of service rather than selfish, all that kind of stuff. Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Generally, that's true. So all the self-centeredness does not disappear in a twinkling. It's not some spiritual vanish. Or were we thinking of what we could do for others? Remember page 20 20, that sentence we read over and over and over again on page 20 that says, a constant thought of others and how we can help meet their needs. See, just thinking about it is not good enough. We got to see, if we're going to pray that God give us the opportunity and the power and the knowledge to help somebody, then we got to act on the prayer. We're going to look around and do something, whatever that something turns out to be. What we could do for others, see, what we could pack into the stream of life. Okay, so can you see how this is kind of directing all of us out of dwelling in our problems? Oh, what's wrong with me, and how's my day, and all that. And say, who cares how I feel? So what? Okay. If I got something going on in my life and it's no fun, so what? I can still be of service. Okay. I can still help somebody. I don't have to feel great in order to do that. Okay. So, or were we thinking of what we could do for others or what we could pack in the stream of life? But we must be careful. We must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, morbid reflection. And all you gotta do is just look at your own experience, how easy it is to get caught up, see, in that constant thing that starts going on in your head. You just get stuck in it. No solution. You just literally get lost.